Welcome to Mattys Mental Health Podcast, aiming to spread awareness on mental health by sharing the real-life stories of those who've experienced it firsthand.
Rock lobster. Death to America and butter sauce. Don't boil me. I'm still alive. Iraq lobster.
All right, Johnny Mackenzie is here. Can you pop an ollie on a skateboard?
I most definitely cannot.
That's awesome. We did 2 takes. The first take you did awesome, and the second take you fell, but it was funny. Appreciate it. I loved it.
Dog barking, and I confused.
Distracted.
Yeah.
The music was blaring.
Whew.
There's a strong headwind.
It was a good time, though. Yeah. During the tail ends of Dorian.
Tree almost fell on me. I avoided a tree.
Yeah. Late tree. All right.
That
was a big start.
Yeah, that was good. Thanks for coming here, man. Thanks for doing this.
Thank you for
Appreciate
having
it.
me.
Putting your body in the line out my driveway. I appreciate that.
I left some skin out there for sure. Ripped my plaid.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So you came. You winded.
Yeah. Sorry.
How you been, man?
Oh, I've been good, man. Large summer.
Large.
Landscaping. Working hard.
Yeah.
Slowing down now, so that's good. What about yourself?
Swell
Been good?
summer. Yes.
That's been good.
It's good weather.
Yeah, it was great.
Good vibes.
It was definitely great.
Good people. Hopefully.
Few beach days?
A few beach days.
Yes.
Still a beach day. So the beach today.
Yeah, that's good.
Not
That's
quite
good.
as warm, but
Sunburn?
no.
Mm.
Oh, well, definitely over the course, but not today.
Yeah, I got a sunburn this summer. Something fierce.
Something first.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. I bet you do, like, landscaping all the time.
Yeah.
Working on mulch and stuff, you know.
Farmer's tan.
Yeah.
Big time.
Nice, man. So you came here to talk about mental health.
Yes.
And I understand it's something that's kind of touched your life in a few different ways.
It definitely has. Definitely has. It touched my life in a few different ways, as in that one, when I lived by myself, it was a little tough for me, you know, just living by yourself when you're 18 years old is,
yeah.
I was in a different country. I was living in USA, in Florida, and I lived in Pennsylvania, and just living by yourself, like when you're 18, like I had a lot of friends that were older, obviously older than 21. They were going out, partying, doing their thing.
Yeah.
I was not part of that. I would go home and after work, and my friends would go out, and I would sit on my couch and do absolutely nothing. Wouldn't leave my, like, I went for the odd run, and I do not like to exercise.
And I hate running.
Yeah, and I do not like running. And I went for the odd run, and other than that, it was like just doing nothing. And I for myself, I was my own worst enemy. Like I was trying to drive horses, and if I did bad driving, I would just hate on myself more than, and you know what I mean? Like I would just,
yeah,
you're the worst. You know, that's all you'd think. You'd go home and sit down and do nothing and
beating yourself up.
Yeah. So that was always tough, and like I said, with older friends going out and stuff, and so it was always a bit of a tough go there. Moving around a lot. Like I went to Pennsylvania, eventually made a few friends there, and then moved to Florida for the winter. So my boss would always move, so that was always a bit of a tough go. So every 5-6 months, like I'd have not, you know, right back to a fresh start. So
it's hard to make new friends sometimes.
Well, it's tough to make new friends, and it's like you're thinking about what you do. Like I found myself a lot thinking about what you do with your old, you know, friends that you were best friends with your whole life. You know, what I mean?
Yeah.
You're thinking, what are the boys up to at home right now, or what are these people up to? Like, hey, if I was at home, I'd be hanging out with my mother or my father, you know, or like doing something, going to a movie with my sister. Meanwhile, I'm sitting at home, laying in bed at 7:00 at night on a Friday night, doing absolutely like just hanging out. 18 years old. So it was tough that way sometimes, and like I said, moving around was always a bit of a, you know, moving to Florida. I moved from Ontario to Florida to Pennsylvania to Florida back to Ontario. So few different moves in a couple of years. So, and all by myself. Like I drove from Ontario to Pennsylvania to Florida all by just driving by myself. I drive 24 hours in a day.
So that's a lot of isolation.
It's a lot of just hanging out, like a lot of time with your own thoughts, and especially, I know everybody's different, but for a person like me who really hates on themselves, like, you know what I mean? Like, always, like I said, if I did something bad, I'd think about it 2 weeks later. Like, if I drove a horse bad, or, it'd be like if you're playing a bad hockey game, an NHL player plays in a bad hockey game, and all they think about is you screwed, you know what I mean?
Yes.
You did wrong. So, it's a lot of driving 24 hours, you're thinking about that a lot, so... It was tough on me that way. I think not like it was just tough to deal with. There'd be a lot of long nights where you're just thinking about nothing, right? Thinking about what you did wrong or what. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that was one aspect of one tough kind of go ahead.
I think it's interesting you mentioned like your friends, like what you wonder what your friends are doing, or your family or whatever, and going to the movies with your sister. Like you realize how much you need those connections when you don't have them.
Big time, 112%.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You realize that, and like the thing is, the fun, and your friends are always good to you, man. I'd call people or text people, or like I said, to just you'd have that thought in the back of your mind, what are they doing right now while I'm doing nothing? And they'd always tell you, man, like you're better off, you're doing your thing, like you're doing horse, like they always support you too, and you don't like you're doing your thing, you're doing what you love doing, horse racing, like that was your thing, so keep at it, like that's what you have to do to be good at it and stuff. And so that was always good sport. Whereas if you live somewhere else and you're friends with somebody, you introduce yourself to somebody, you become friends with them, you hang out with them, but they're not your best friends. They're not the people who've known you forever. So they don't give you that support. They're like, all right, well, go home if you're feeling bad late. Like, you don't have to, you know what I mean? You can go back to PEI then, and it's just like.
It's not that same level of connection.
Yeah, exactly.
And support that comes with a connection.
Yeah. So it is good to have, it means a lot to have those friends that you get the support from, and to know that they're there at a time like that in your life, right? Like when you're by yourself.
Yeah, 18 is really young to go to.
18, yeah. So I was 18, 19, and then 20 is when I moved out west to snowboard, and that's when it turned up for me because I moved out with a couple friends from here. So, and that's when that's when I knew at that point I was like, man, like at one point I was living in Ontario in my car for a few days. Just because, like I said, when somebody, they don't have that support for you. So when you're like, have half, a few friends, but not too many, it's like, oh yeah, man, you can come stay at my house for a couple of days while you're looking for an apartment. But then it's like after 2 days, like, oh, I've overstayed my welcome, like I'm leaving. And so I was like sleeping in a car, in a parking lot, in a racetrack parking lot.
Nice.
And then, so then that's kind of when I decided, I was like, geez, like I gotta kind of
do something else.
Like I love racing horses, but I got to find something else. So I moved out west to snowboard, and that was like an up point in my life. Like when finally, because I knew like I loved snow, like that was also like one of the things that I loved just as much as racing horses. But whenever I figured like racing horses it was for me towards like I like racing horses, but maybe not the lifestyle or the lifestyle that I was living. So I moved out west, and that was wicked, snowboarding out there all the time. Yeah. It was great. Really,
that's awesome.
Really a good little turning point.
Yeah. So how did you, when did you start racing horses?
Oh, I started that when I was young. I think grade 6 I owned my first horse. So my grandfather owned a bunch of horses, and still does own a bunch of horses. And when I was in grade 6, I think I paid like $100 for my first horse, and he paid like $30,000 for it. And I was like, yeah, all you gotta do is pay, bro. All you gotta do is pay your $100, and you can like have a part of this. You just have your name on like the program. So whenever the announcer goes like, this is John Mackenzie's horse, it was like, this is cool.
Yeah.
So then I kind of get into it, and then my first ever job, I was like 10 or like 12, and my first ever job, my grandfather got it for me at the racetrack. Just helping a guy out. He's like, this like 12-year-old can come like every Saturday on the weekends. He'll come in for like a couple hours, just get him to like move a bale of hay or something like that. Like, so that's how you get into it, kind of. And then I just ever since then, it's kind of one of those things you get caught up in it, and you can't get it. Like, it's just so fun. Like when it's one of those things. Some people just go to watch the races, but people who get into it really never get it. Like, never fully get out of it. Like even if you go somewhere else or.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I get into it. So it was a while back. I've been doing it for a while.
Yeah, that's cool, man. So you started racing them at some point, and then
so you got to go through hoops and hurdles to you can work around the racetrack, but then to be a trainer and to be a driver, there's a few different things that you got to do.
Right.
Yeah. So I started driving when I was in Pennsylvania. Finally, you have to be 18 years old and a bunch of different things to be able to drive. So I finally got my driver's license, and I was going at that for a while, and it wasn't working out. That's the other thing for me is I think I thought like I was going to set the world on fire instantly. Like, you know what I mean? Just be like, boom, I'm Wayne Gretzky. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I was working hard, don't get me wrong. Like, I wasn't, like, just slacking off and doing nothing.
Yeah.
I would work hard, but I thought, like, as soon as you hit the racetrack to drive my first ever drive, it was just going to be like, I'm the best driver ever. Like, you know what I mean?
That's that 18-year-old delusion, man.
Yeah,
everybody has that.
I'm Superman. And I think that's what didn't help me, because whenever I, like, got my first drive or whatever, it would be like, go home and be like, oh, you finished 9th, and the horse out of 9 horses, and the horse was really no good. Like, he shouldn't even been in against those other horses. But you'd go home thinking you're 18 years old and being like, oh man, I just ruined. Like, I just did everything wrong. I couldn't do it. You know what I mean? So, but it is that 18-year-old illusion. Like, it's just you thought, like I said, I thought it was going to be Wayne Gretzky.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I stepped on the the next Tom Brady.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I think that's like a good lesson. I think I talked about this before, but like for athletes and for anything in life, that there's like, it's such a long journey that requires like a lot of hard work, and you have to keep showing up. Like no matter what you do, that's what's required, right?
Exactly.
So I think I went through it with like sports and stuff. It's like you gotta like, you're not just gonna make it. You know, even if you got talent, it's like you gotta
go at it.
Really work at it, and it's gonna take a long, long time of hard work and commitment.
Big time.
Yeah.
And that's why I think a lot of it, just for that aspect, and for me, like you thought you put in enough work, and you just did. Like, it doesn't matter how much you do, you got to do more. You know what I mean? Like it's like you thought you put in a ton of work, and then it's like. Yeah, like I said, your first game shows up and you forget how to do, you know, or like you just go, and it's like, so, and I'm driving, driving horses wise, just that's the only thing I really know is like you're driving against a pile of 30-year-olds, and I was 18 that have drove 20,000 races in their life. Yeah, and like they do it, and it's like, and then you do it, and you like think you're frigged up your first drive. Yeah. And then it's like, they just laugh. They're like, man, kid, come on. Like, don't worry about it. Yeah, like, you'd be going. And that's where I think, like, right, they're going out for beers after and stuff. I was 18 years old. I'd go home and do it, like, just do not, you know what I mean? Sit on my couch and think about how I screwed up the drive. So I don't think that helped me very much. But
yeah. You had, like, this singular focus. And then everyone was older, so you couldn't go hang out with them after. Kind of get the social aspect of it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So
it'd be tough.
Yeah, so it was a bit of a situation there.
Just be a culture shock too. I think just going to a new place when you're so young and like you're kind of on your own and stuff.
Exactly, living in the States, and everybody's like lived in the States, even living in Ontario. Like I said, the biggest thing for me is like nobody has that connection with you. Where if I was on PEI and I wasn't feeling like I wasn't feeling myself after I drove a horse, I could call one of my buddies and be like, "Yo, dude, want to go?" Grab a bite to eat, or go go to a movie, or go do anything.
Something, anything,
do anything. But like there, it's like anywhere, not just the States, anywhere else. It's kind of like, oh man, sorry, you know what I mean. It's not like they're not like, oh, this guy's not feeling good, like you know what I mean. Yeah. Like this guy's not, you know what I mean. Like he just had a bad night. It's kind of like, oh man, no, I'm going home. Like you don't have that connection, like we said. So that was a little tough for me. Getting used to it, and that's why I moved out west, which I think was a good move. It was a power move.
Yeah, power move. Yeah.
So
showing the power. So when did you get into snowboarding, man? I remember like grade 6, fucking going to Brookvale, and you were doing some tricks.
Yeah,
Glenn Stewart.
I don't know. I think it was like, I don't know when it was, man. I think I was like, I remember. Well, I don't remember. I was like 2 or 3 years old, and my dad took me to the ski hill, and he took my sister, and I think he was I don't know, he he had to go get my sister ready or something, and he said by the time we got back, I was just like, I was on skis. I was like 3 years old maybe, and I was just like ripping up and down the hill, like never been there before. It was just like, I had skated, I think, before, but was just ripping. And like I skied for like not long, and was just like, I need to snowboard. So I got a snowboard in my hands. I don't know how old I would have been. It would have been like in grade 3 or 4. Like it was pretty young, and I don't know. I just started going at it and just loved it. There's a few boys that always helped me. There's a lot of crew that when I was kind of, like you said, in grade 6 and that, there was a lot of older boys that were like, I'd always go to the snowboard park with or whatever, or like down in Pondside, be snowboarding behind Will Connolly and Garrett's house. And it would always be like a few older boys. So it was just like pure pressure into, you have to learn to do tricks, or like don't snowboard with us, you grom. Like and like, and I love that. Like I fed off. Like I was always like, okay, well, I'm just gonna learn to do tricks then, or else I'm not. Like that's just it.
Don't have a choice.
Yeah, exactly. So so that's kind of how I got into that. But man, that's like my favorite sport.
Yeah,
it's so fun.
It's fun, dude.
Super fun. I know you go at it, don't you?
Yeah. I haven't in years, honestly, man. But yeah, it's one thing I never got into as much as I would want to, I think.
Yeah, it's super fun, even just to get out, right, man?
Yeah.
Like get out and rip around and have it's always a good time. Like I always go snowboarding, and never, like, snowboarding to me has always been like, I don't care if you're the worst snowboarder in the world or the best. Like how good I am, I'm still gonna go with, like, I'm still. Like, you know what I mean? I go with guys who doesn't even stand up. I'm just there for the experience. If it's minus 23 and we're out there and it's still, or if it's like the spring and it's super hot, like, as long as you're having a good time with good company, that's what snowboarding's always been about for me. And that's why when I left Ontario and moved out snowboard, like, moved it there, I was living with Garrett Conley, and I snowboard with him, and he was always like that. And that's what I, like, it turned me around a little bit to it. Like, it was like, man, this is the kind of sport I want to be in. Horse racing, it's like a single which, you know, there's single people sports, but like not team sports. But snowboarding was single person sport, but also like
there's a big community there.
Everybody's like, no matter how, if your trick's on this level, people are still cheering for you while the guy does the trick on the top level. You know what I mean? Like, so that was always wicked. Like, it was always just like, no matter how good you are, people are cheering for you or being like,
yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, so it's fun, but we should get out sometime, dude.
Should, man.
We should get out this
I really
winter.
want to go to a fucking mountain.
Yeah, man.
Because, like, the thing about, like, I longboarded a lot and skateboarded and stuff.
Yeah.
I always found Brookfield is just so, like, small.
Yeah.
It's hard to, like, really get your feet underneath you.
Big time.
Because it's like a 30-second run and then 10 minutes on the
lift. Wait in the lineup, drink a hot chocolate in the lineup, and then get in the lift for 10 minutes.
You end up fucking getting like 4 runs in.
I know. Oh, it's midnight?
Yeah.
No kidding, man. No kidding.
But yeah, no, for sure, dude.
It'd be good to get to a mountain for sure. It gets you back, you know, gets you back into it, and get a little good workout too.
I imagine like the half-hour runs, dude. Like, that'd be a good workout.
It's crazy, and it's and that's good for you. That's where, like, people always said Revelstoke, where I used to live, is like the steepest mountain in North America.
Really?
Yeah, the steepest mountain in North America, and it's like, people would always be like, you can't learn there, and it'd be like, man, the people that learn there get better in like a month, instead of if you learn in Brookvale, it's like it takes you 2 years to be able to snowboard. Because like, you're just, like you said, going down 30 seconds.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's like the people that learn there, like, become good snowboarders in like, or good skiers in like the most minimal amount of time, because like I said, like, there's like maybe 3 runs that aren't super steep, and it's like they master those runs and then instantly get so you definitely should rip a mountain.
Yeah, for sure, man. Yeah, you get thrown into the water, right?
Yeah, thrown to the sharks.
Yeah, right away.
Yeah, big time.
That's cool. No, it's pretty funny. We just got a hill made out of garbage here on Prince Edward Island.
Exactly. That's wicked.
Yeah, it is cool.
Yeah,
just a hill.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a good time.
They make it as good as they can, though. I mean, I remember some years, too, they just had all kinds of, like, they always, like, mix it up and stuff, you know?
Yeah.
Have some cool stuff on the go.
Always. Shout out to the park crew.
Shout out to them, dude.
Yeah.
Our sponsors.
Yeah. produces.
Yeah.
Production is going up right now.
Brookvale Ski Park.
Marker Rens.
Yeah. So you moved out to. Where'd you say you moved?
I moved out to Nelson was the first place I moved. So there, even I did a lot of moving there, but I was with friends there. It was a good time. I moved out to Nelson, British Columbia, which is like South British Columbia. It's like only 45 minutes from the border, I think, something like that, or an hour, give or take. Like
okay.
From the border of the States. So I moved out there with Garrett Conley, and I was living out there, and then I went to Vietnam whenever the season was over. I went to Vietnam with my mother and my sister.
Really?
That was a trip.
I imagine.
That was a fat trip.
Yeah.
It was a sweet time. It's like I got kind of like the best of both worlds because it was like me and my sister who like to have a good time, you know what I mean, and like do our thing, but also with my mom. So it was like we were living balling. Like it was like we weren't staying in like a hostel. We were like rocking out in the 5-star hotels.
Yeah, because you can get some nice places for like not that much comparatively to here.
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying, and it was like it was super funny because it was like I was on no budget, and my mom was kind of like, "Well, I'm not staying in a hostel, so like you're gonna have to stay with me."
Yeah, that's awesome.
And it was like, all right, sweet.
Ideal.
So like, yeah, can't argue with that.
Yeah,
so
you're right. I mean, can't stay here.
No, this does look terrible.
Yeah, it's like a mansion. I
Yeah,
don't know about this one.
You're gonna want to get something with breakfast.
I'm pretty sure we can. Pretty sure we can rent a neighborhood for like $200 a night.
Oh my!
It's a nice cul-de-sac down there.
Yes, that is
for
true.
A Benjamin.
That is true. For a Benjamin. No, so that was a sweet trip. That was wicked. And then my plan then was to go back to horse racing. Actually, whenever I got back, I was like, I'm going back to Ontario. Like, that's just what I'm gonna do. Because I thought I could just get right. Like, I thought it was just gonna be like, boom, I'm right back into it. I'm good to like.
Yeah.
I'm golden. And I went back.
Right back into stride.
Yeah. And I went back, and it was just even worse. Like, it was like, I actually lived with a buddy of mine who was a great friend of mine, but it was just like, even then, I was still like, even worse almost, because I was like, I thought I was just going to go right back to
where you were?
Square one. Like, I went back to Ontario, and I went back, like, right back to, like, nobody's ever met me. You know what I mean? Like, people are saying hi to you, but, like, no
connection.
No connections, like, in the horse racing game. Like, no drives, no nothing. You know what I mean? Like, it was, like, right back to being when I was 10 years old and I had to start horse racing for the first time. You know what I mean? Like, it was like, oh, you have no respect built up.
Right.
So it went back to that, and then I lasted a very pretty short time, and I was like I don't know, months kind of deal, and I was like, this is once again not the spot for me. Not that I didn't like enjoy it, but I just wasn't. You know what I mean? Like, I wasn't like, not that I don't enjoy harness racing is what I should say. And
that situation wasn't good for you.
Not that I didn't enjoy the people either, but just that how it was going was less than ideal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So then I moved back out west, and I was back and kicking it again. That was cool. I moved out with Willie Conley, and his Garrett was out there. Or no, sorry. I met Willie Conley out there. He only stayed for a couple weeks. He had to go to school, so he flew back. But me and Garrett lived in Victoria, on Vancouver Island, for the summer. So did a lot of surfing. A lot of skateboarding for the summer.
Yeah.
And then after that, me and Will moved to Will flew out, and we moved to Revelstoke, and that was a sweet winter. Revelstoke is a wicked spot to snowboard. So,
that's sweet.
Yeah, it was really cool. There's a few people from the island out there, so that's kind of how that went.
Sounds like a lot of fun.
It was an awesome time. An awesome time after I kind of got out of the horse racing situation, and not like. Thing is, it's not I didn't like horse racing. Like, I still thought about horse racing every day, but it just wasn't like, just didn't like the situation.
Mm-hmm.
So it was awesome. It was a crazy amount of fun out there. And then it was good when I moved back home. I started going to Holland College, and then I started horse racing, like just part-time horse racing again. So that was like awesome. Get the best of both worlds. Like right now I drive a few horses. And I drive a few horses on race nights, but I don't do anything too serious. Like I'm not 100% committed to it. So it's a good little mix of both worlds.
Yeah. I think I think it's great to have like hobbies and things to be into and that kind of devote yourself to.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, like that sounds like a lot of fun. Skateboarding and surfing and then snowboarding.
Yeah, it's a good little mix. But I think that's key to me for myself was to just find the prime
situation,
little real estate where I think that's key for a lot of people.
Yeah,
to find your niche of you can't do too much of, you know what I mean?
One thing,
too much of one thing. Like,
yeah.
It's just I think that's the key. Where for me, for sure, at least was to just do a little bit of everything, right?
Yeah.
Like still keep my toes in the water in horse racing, so I'm still around it and that, but not get too into it, sucked in. So I sucked the life out of me.
Yeah, man. I think it's kind of like a puzzle piece, puzzle. It's like you gotta have like your friends, like connection, your family. Like love, hobbies, and like if you don't have one of those things, like it's kind of like, I think me and Hugh talked about this. It's kind of like a check box. There's like a list of check boxes you have to check off. And there's a lot of other things. I mean, mental health, but I mean, like, I think we all need connection. We all need hobbies. We all need friends. You know what I mean?
Yeah, big time. Yeah. And you got your things that you like, and and the good thing about having friends like that, like you obviously got your things that your friends may not be into as much as you, right? Yeah. Which is I think very healthy for a relationship, like for a significant other or for a friend, like like it's good to be into things like that maybe your friends are into, but they're not like, you know what I mean, dying to get out there, like, you know what I mean, same thing as you are, like my friends, my really good friends, they always will come watch me race, and there's nothing means more than me than them coming out to watch me race, and they're not that, like, they just come out and scream their lungs out like idiots at me on the racetrack, and it's like these guys, like, you know what I mean, like I'm like turning the other way at them, but like it means the most. It means a ton to me, and it's super, like, but that's what I mean, like they're not as into it as me, but they still support me on it, and I do the same, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Same thing for them. So it's kind of, I think you need that good little mix in there.
Yeah,
healthy for mental health and healthy for just any relationship, I think.
Yeah.
Good little.
Just to be yourself and to be into what you're into, and like.
Exactly.
And then you have all these connections through the thing that you like to do. You know what I mean? So it's almost like you got your own little section of your life there, and all your connections from that. And then, and it's like we all got all these connections
exactly
to the things that we do with our time.
And I think that's a key to success. One of the keys to success. So yeah, it's a good thing to think about.
Yeah. I think another thing we talked about, I don't know if you think about this, but like as far as like daily routine, and I know like a lot of people have like a lot of things they have to check off each day, as far as like just like what we talked about, like you could even break it up into like the week, like, okay, this week, like I'm going to see my friends once or twice. I'm going to go race horses. I'm going to snowboard if it's winter, and skateboard or whatever, Yeah. I think that's important too, like just to make sure that you got like all your boxes checked.
I think it is too. Like I definitely agree with that. It's good to have, your, and I think there's a few categories to it, like your, like I don't know what you'd call it. I guess like your main, the things you have to get done. Say you're breaking it down into weeks, things you have to get done, or the things that are, you categories and
responsibilities.
Yeah, 1 to 5, like on a 1 to 5 scale. These are my 5s. These are the highest priority things that I have to do, and then down to your 1s. Right. I think that's also key for stuff like that, for a weekly routine that you have, is you make sure you get
your fives done,
your stuff done, and then if you're mapping out a schedule, you have your fives done first, or not necessarily first, but you make sure they're all on there.
Yeah.
And then as you fill them out as they go, and depending on what your situation is, your fives could be different than somebody else's, and that's kind of a thing that you got to know, keep in the back of your mind, that your five doesn't have to be your best friend's five. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to be out there because you're going to do this. Don't make that a 5. I shouldn't make that a 5 just because you're, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
If it is a 5 to you, if it both works out, then that makes sense. But don't make it a 5 because
it's someone else's 5.
Because it's someone else's 5 is kind of where I, or where, like, just the way I look at it, I guess. Like, I think you should keep in mind that, of your own well-being and your own self, that you're your own person, right? Like your 5 may not be their 5, and it's nice to have a good mix of everything. You know what I mean?
No, that's good advice. I think a lot of people get caught up in that, especially younger.
Yeah, big time.
When you're younger,
100%.
Something is important to somebody else or a group of people, and it's not really important to you. You end up doing it anyway, or
exactly
whatever. Maybe the opposite, but.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, it could happen either way, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's definitely good to be aware about. That's good advice.
Mm-hmm.
So you had some experience with a family member going through some mental health stuff. I don't know how much you want to get into it, but maybe you could just talk about like how it affected you.
And that's just it. Like, we had some trouble, but I don't want to get into it too much, just because I don't, not really my spot, I guess, to really get into it too much. But start telling details, of course. You
mind just pulling this up a little bit? I think it's
but just with the effect of our family, like, I just want to, basically what I want to say about it is that I saw my family all come together for support for one of our other family members, and it was like, it just lit me up. Like, it was great. And I couldn't be more, like, I couldn't have seen my family act better in a time like that. You know what I mean? Like, you think your family's always there for you, but then when something really comes together, you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
Whenever the time comes down to it. So that's why, that was one of the main reasons whenever he started doing this, I started watching them, and I started thinking, I want to include everyone in that. You know what I mean? Everyone that I can reach out to, or that you reach out to, or either way, that not only would I do it for my family, or not only did I, whenever I see my family come together, just whenever, something happens or something's not going well, that there's always somebody there. You know what I mean? Like, there's always, whether it be myself, whether it be, and I hope, this podcast can reach out to anyone who needs that, or who, you know what I mean? Like,
that's the hope for sure.
Yeah.
In this podcast.
And that's what, just whenever I witnessed it, myself, affected myself, and I saw, and I was a little younger. I mean, I wasn't 10 years old, but I was a little younger, and just whenever I saw the way my family came together, I was like, some people may not have that support system behind them, so it's nice to know, I think, that there's people behind you, and there's people behind you, whether it's your family or not, there's always people out there that are looking out for you, you know what I mean? So yeah, that's kind of the way I feel, and the way, and that's why that's a great thing that you're doing here. Like, that's why I really was interested in coming on, just because I want to be, you know what I mean, an advocate for it, for mental health, and
He's shrinking.
Meant to go up there. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with that right now.
Well, thanks a lot, man. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for sharing. 10 years old or you say we were on 10?
When I was 10?
Yeah. Did you say you were around 10 when that happened? Like
No, I said I wasn't 10. I was a little younger, but I wasn't 10. I was probably 19, like 18, 19.
Okay. Yeah.
But it was, it was a significant thing at the time, and it was just and just to watch my family act the way they did, it was really, to me, it was really, it kind of
heartwarming.
It was. That's a good word for it. It was really cool. It was heartwarming. It was like, wow, this is what a great support system looks like, and this is what everybody deserves. I feel everybody in a situation, in that type of situation deserves. That's what should happen for them. So that was kind of my It was great to see. It was, like I said, heartwarming, and it was good. In a bad situation, in a less than ideal situation, right? It was good to see.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's cool that it was kind of like a lesson for you, because, I mean, I think that's cool. Like when something happens like that, it's like kind of changes your perspective and, people around, just the people that are affected by it, it changes their perspective on it, I guess.
Exactly.
Whereas, like, if that didn't happen, maybe you wouldn't have this perspective on it.
Exactly.
You wouldn't be here talking about it.
No, I wouldn't. Might have a different look. I might have a different look and a different feel for anyone who's going through it, and nobody should. But it might take that experience to really, awaken you to that. So, so I just want, I want to support this podcast 100% and get it out there that I'm there for support, or anyone's there for support, right? There's there's people there for support, right?
Yeah, 100%. Reach out.
Yeah,
reach out if you are going through a hard time. That's
exactly
something that to see the theme of this podcast. Hopefully, by sharing the story, it will encourage someone to reach out, because when you don't reach out, that's when you get into trouble. And guarantee usually you think people don't care, they always care.
Exactly. And that's the thing, you think people don't care, and that's kind of where my horse race and where I kind of felt a little bit. You think people don't care, you're always tougher on yourself, right? And people do care. People really do care. You know what I mean? I forget what this quote was, but there was a quote, something that, like, it was you're looking up to somebody, right? You're always looking up to somebody, and if you're in a tough time or something like that, you're always looking up to somebody, but you never know who's looking, like somebody's always up to you or looking out for you, right? They might be doing it very quietly, but there's always someone who cares about you. Yeah. You know what I mean? No matter if you see them every day, every month, every year, every 5 years, there's always somebody who cares about you that's out there, right? So
that's great advice. And I think like there's a part of it too where it's like you just have to say it, because like they can't read your mind. No one's ever going to know if you don't say it. And you can even push those people away.
100%.
Because you're so in your mind. You're like, they don't get me. Like you can get yourself, you can push them away, and you push away the people you need the most.
And you are pushing them away, right? Like, and that's the tough
block
thing.
Them out.
Yeah, exactly. Trying to block them out, trying to do that. Yeah. And it does push them away for sure, and but it's always good to tell them, like you said, that you can't read their mind, right?
Yeah. Well, fuck yeah, there was a lot of good advice and some very insightful stuff, man. I really appreciate you coming on and doing this, showing off your skateboard skills and stuff.
That video is prime.
All right,
you're gonna sell that for big money. Yeah, dude. Thanks for having me, though. That was awesome. That was a great time. It's great to get out here and just support the cause, right?
Yeah,
that's what it's all about for me. Supporting the cause, and I'm here for a ear to listen, right?
Yeah. All right. Thanks so much.
Good
Johnny
stuff.
Mackenzie. That's him.
Thank you very much, my friend. Thanks.